Yeah, I think so. Yes, we do need a fur cover. You can hear me though? No? Andy, you can hear me? Okay, Steve can't hear me, but everyone else can hear me. Okay, that's where we're at. No, that's good, but you have to get it back.
Hi. How are you? Oh my goodness. My mom is not here. She is on the Zoom, so maybe she can see you on the Zoom right now. Oh my goodness. It's so good to see you.
And I got out today and I felt a little stressed and I texted you.
Oh, I'm so glad. I hope you have a good time. This is Rabbi Dan.
Hi.
I don't know if you've met.
It's very nice to meet you. Oh, well, we were outside. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, it's wonderful to have you back. Yeah. Okay. Hi there. I do, but you want to just keep your distance. I was at a conference today, or conference the other day, and somebody had COVID. So you just don't. I would actually step back a little further if I were you. No, of course. I know. It's wonderful to see you again. How are you?
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Yeah. So how long are you out for? Just the weekend. I hope you have a great time with them. I know. I feel like it's been more than COVID since I saw you the last time, which is wild. But as you can see, they're just as busy as ever. And we had a great time at this conference.
We'll need it back eventually, but not.
Yeah, it's the nature of these things, right? You go and you just never know if somebody else has it. So but it's really great to see you. It's really great to see you. Thanks for coming back. Yes. Got it. All right. Let's just flip that on. Make sure I can hear you there.
Yeah, it sounds like it's on.
That's a good call. I'm gonna wear mine just probably because it'll cover up the.
That's what patterns are for. I don't know.
You know what though? The wind. Let's see. The one thing you never account for is wind.
I know. It was super windy and
Oh yeah.
thought the stand was gonna fall over, so I was like holding it like this.
Yeah, I think that happened a couple times last year. All right, let me just make sure we can hear it.
Okay. Hello. Hey, hello. Sounds good. Okay, testing. Oh, that's a little close. Move it back just a little bit. There you go, yeah. Yeah, looks like he's dressed for winter. Whose is that? For who? Whose is it? Fan. You have a gift on your...
Okay, that's good. Vivian. Yeah. I figured as much. I kind of read through the. It's not the first time it's happened, and I'll see. Hopefully, I'll be able to, No, Vivian, thank you, for sure. Okay, this is. All right. There we go. Okay, good job. Oh, it's time. Okay, it's late. Good Shabbos, everybody. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay, so as you'll notice, I look a little different than normal outside. I'm wearing the mask mostly because I was at a conference in the middle of this week, which I'll talk about in just a bit, and somebody tested positive shortly after the conference was over. How it goes. So on an extra level of caution, I'm going to keep my mask on for today, but I hope all of you are having a wonderful Shabbat. It's a little bit on the hot side, but, starting to cool down a little, so make yourselves comfortable. And we're going to hope we don't blow away with the wind best as we can. So, Cantor, how about an opening song for us this evening?
We're going to begin on page 128.
Turn now to page 120 as we light and bless our Shabbat candles. I will light. Cantor will do the blessing. Again, page 120.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. We'll turn now to page 130 to begin Kabbalat Shabbat together at the very top of the page. On page 131, Shiru Ladonai, the beginning of the Hebrew in the middle of the page. now to page 132, the 97th Psalm at the very bottom of the page. Turn now to page 134, beginning at the very top of the page. Now on page 135, Romamu at the very bottom of the page. We'll turn now to Lechado D on page 138, and a reminder, we'll do the first, second, fifth, and ninth paragraphs, and for the last one, we will rise in body or spirit.
Shemo Tiferet
בני שבת נקרא
וחנוני לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקרא
בואי ושלום העצרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך אדוני לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקרא בלה, לך אדוני לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקרא בלה.
Okay, please be seated. We're now on page 140, beginning at the very top of the page.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלינו סובב עלינו בל, עלינו יום תחינון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. צדיק התמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון ישנא, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינובו בשיבה, דשנים ועננים יהיו, להגיד כי אשר אדוני צורי, ולא הפלטמו.
We'll now rise in body or spirit for the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
ילמד דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכונו ויומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם לעמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם יינשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירה בעלמה, ואמרו
Amen. Remain standing as we turn to page 146 for the Baruch Hu.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Marechu et Adonai.
please be seated. We'll turn now to page 148. We'll read together in English at the bottom of the page. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבים.
Amen. We're now on page 150.
אהבת עולם את ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו למדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך, לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו, לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגד יומם ולילה. נאוותך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
Please join us on page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. Let's read together now on the top of page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. As we turn to page 158, Mi Chamocha, at the very top of the page.
So in honor of the 4th of July, we're going to be using a special melody that we used a few weeks ago for Memorial Day. So please sing along.
נדור
now to Hashkivenu, page either 161 or 160. We'll see what Lauren's doing.
I wish I knew which page.
It's okay. We'll figure it out one way or the other. $161.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Le'amidenu, Shomreinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu, Sukat shlomecha. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm.
We'll turn now to page 162 at the very top of the page, Vishamru.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורות ברית עולם. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורות ברית עולם. Eini uven b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת מי נפש, שבת מי נפש, שבת מי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Now I invite everyone to rise in body or in spirit as we begin the Amidah together on page 164 and then continue silently from there. As always, please go at your own pace, and when you are finished, you may be seated.
Adonai sefatay tiftach, ufi hagi tilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Nay, 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 nay. רצונים היפים ויון ליבי יהיו לרצונים היפים והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי go inside your heart just be go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true. May they be acceptable to you, oh my rock and my redeemer.
We'll turn now to page 371 to offer our Mishaberach, our healing prayer for this evening. Tonight we are thinking of Michael Klinghoffer, Norma Paulsack, Amy Cass, Steve Levine, Rivka Bat Rachel, Gail Gambino, Leah Bat Naomi, Gedalia Ben Sylvia, Lorraine Danis, David Dowling, Sivia Devora Bat Francis, Deborah Block Kroll, Sylvia Orn, Michelle Sawicki, Francis Kirschman, Paul Eric Feuden, Bat Esther, Shelley Newmark, Diane Axelrod, Gabriella Rose Spicer, Dina Bat Chana, Sydney Rose, Eve Rose, Machoil Ben Hananya, David Kyle Klotman, Betsy Tepper, Samuel Moskowitz, Devora Bat Sima, Moshe Eliezer Ben Yakutiel, Judy Yang, Maxine Eisenstadt, Lorraine Davis, Jeffrey Miller, Brad Friedman, Paul Greenfield, Chana Bat Miriam, Sandy Greenwald, Pat Shikonis, Peter Parcher, Jeannie Levinson, Ava Levinson, Leah and Pam, Harlan Spitz, and Jody Bernstein. I'll invite those that are watching at home to add the names of your loved ones as well. And for those that are with us here this evening, if you have any additional names to share, just please raise the hand nice and high so I can see. Okay, baby? Mamie? We'll join together with Cantor Lauren on page 371, just in the middle of the page. We have more hands. Oh, Marcia, go ahead. Sherry? Okay. Ann? Sure. Anybody else I miss? Stanley, go. Okay, we'll join together with the cantor now on page 371, just in the middle of the page.
Avotenu mekor bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Okay, we'll give Cantor Lauren a break, and as soon as she's safely some distance away from me, I'll take my mask off so you can see my beautiful face. Or more importantly, hear what I have to teach you this evening and to talk about. So why, again, was I wearing the mask in the first place? It relates to my sermon for this evening. For the first time since before COVID, I went to a conference and an opportunity to learn, which I have not really been able to do in a very long time. But what happens when you go to conferences these days that are in small rooms with not so well working air conditioners is there's a chance something can spread around. Somebody tested positive. I feel fine, but I like to be careful. But I had an amazing time on Wednesday, and I want to share some of that experience with you. So what was this conference? What was this thing that had me risk life and limb to go into the big city? Not a small thing. It's about pursuing answers to questions, principally. So what am I talking about here? So first, let's back up a second and talk a little bit about our religion, about our culture, about our identity. What is it, the one thing that all Jews can agree on? Every single one of us? We love asking questions. We're less concerned about the answers, but we love asking questions. So take, for example, if you don't believe me, take the Mishnah. Open the Mishnah up to the first page. One of the most important documents in our sacred literature. And what does it begin with? It begins with a question. What time can we say the Shema? Very simple. It goes much further than that, but that's where we begin. One of our most famous holidays, punctuated by the voices of young people saying, Ma nishtana halayla hazeh, right? Asking yet again, what is it makes this night different than other nights? One of the more important eternal questions been asked since the time of Moses. Who has the better locks, Zabars or Russin daughters? The answer is Zabars. But we can still ask the question in one form or the other. But the big question, the one that I think fundamentally is part of our reality in so many different ways, is we ask the sort of essential question. Can religion, this thing that we love, the thing we are gathered here to do now, exist, perhaps even coexist, with science? With science. Now, I imagine for most of you, you'd say, of course. Why even ask that question? It's in Aramaic terms, you say, pshita, it's so obvious that it's not actually obvious. Believe it or not, the rabbis actually have a word for that. It's where it's so obvious that it's not actually obvious, and we have to spend a whole day in New York City trying to figure out how it is we're going to relate to this question. So principally, can these things coexist? Do they relate to each other at all? Is there something that can be benefited to all of us? The simple answer is yes. Okay, I'll get to the end of the sermon and say yes, but how we get there is very important. So what is it, again, that I was doing on Wednesday? Well, I have a person to thank. He's recording us now, even though there's a recording going on. That just goes to show you how scientific a mind he is. Dr. Stephen Rosen, one of our great scientists in our community. And we've been thinking about this. And as a matter of fact, last summer, we started a sort of thinking out loud. We had a program in which the two of us were engaged in conversation about some of these existential questions. The big things. What are we doing here? What is our purpose? Why are we here? How do we understand this? What is all of these wires that are connecting us to all these people across the world? And how do we understand that in terms of this big thing we call God? So Steve and I, thinking about how to take this sort of to the next level, we found some compatriots. We found some other people who were thinking about the same kinds of things. And it turns out actually for quite some time. So this led us to a wonderful organization known as Sinai and Synapses. Now, I'm just going to ask the question, before you heard about this from us, had you ever heard of this organization before? Okay, Ann did, because Ann is great. Ann knows these things. Okay, but the vast majority of us had never heard of this. Okay, it's not exactly accidental. It's a new idea. It's a small group. But slowly but surely, all across this country and really across the world, they are gathering communities just like ours, scientists, rabbis, cantors, educators, Jewish professionals, and bringing us together and to ask some of these questions and to try to figure out what is the intersection and how do we understand it? And in particular, how do we leverage this amazing thing that our congregation has in spades, which are actual scientists, people who have devoted themselves in their careers to understanding some of the world. As we learned on Wednesday, one of the great definitions of science, as we were told, is helping us to be a little less ignorant tomorrow, or today, perhaps. Right? Doesn't mean we get every answer to every question, but it helps us to understand the world a little bit better and a little bit deeper. So how did all this come about? A little bit of background. A wonderful rabbi named Jeff Middleman. Anybody know Rabbi Middleman? And once again, you get double challah tonight, okay? You know all the answers. That's very good. Rabbi Middleman is a wonderful guy, and if you had never heard of him before, when you go home, you Google him because he was a rabbi who ended up on Jeopardy, of all things, which is how many people came to know his name. I came to know his name because when I was a student in school, I applied for an internship, which I did not get, but I found him a very compelling person, very lovely person who I enjoyed spending time with. And he, in his observation of the world, especially in the last, let's say, decade, has observed that the public discourse about the role of religion in our scientific age is almost never productive. Because, as he says, we are all too often presented with only two main and often extreme reactions. On one side are religious fundamentalists who argue that religion should be the primary, if not the only source for ultimate truth and morality. And on the other side are adamant atheists who claim that religion is the source of much of the evil in the world and is based on outdated superstitions. Yet, he continues, while both sides are arguing, few people are actually truly listening. Surprise, surprise. And their arguments, as he says, and I love this phrasing, they're creating a lot of heat, but they are producing very little light. But in this public conversation about religion and science, there is a large population, a very large population, if not the largest population, that's right in the middle, that has not found a way to express its voice. And this is ultimately where Sinai and Synapses comes in, and where it connects to us. So part of their program, which is funded in large part by the Templeton Foundation. So if those of you who don't know about the Templeton Foundation, you should do some research into that. But one of the great philanthropic organizations that has really been helping in a lot of different ways in a lot of different fields, and they've been very focused on this beyond just Judaism, about this schism that seems to appear between scientific thought and religious thought. And so they have funded Sinai and Synapses, and Sinai and Synapses, and as a result of it, created a smaller program, a grant-giving program called Scientists in Synagogues. So here we have our scientists, our rabbi, we're in, well, a church, but in our minds we're in our synagogue, right? And we're here to sort of think about these big kinds of existential questions. So what is the goal of all of this? As Rabbi Middleman explains, to present a worldview that gives purpose to people's lives and lets them make a positive impact on societal and global issues, and at the same time embraces critical thinking and scientific inquiry. Sinai and Synapses fills that void in the public discourse, offering people a worldview that is both scientifically grounded, and very much so, I will assure you, and spiritually uplifting. As they say, we don't look at scientific questions, and we don't look at religious questions. We look at human questions, and try to see how both science and religion can contribute to the conversation. And so it is with great pride, and I think this has maybe been announced, but I'm going to announce it in this public way. Thanks very much to the hard work of Steve and Celia writing the grant, several others who supported them, our wonderful staff, maybe a little bit of me somewhere here and there. We received this wonderful grant amongst, I think, 7 or 8 other congregations all over the country and over the world, even in Israel. And we will be able to, as a result of this, for this year, to create several different learning opportunities of various modes and modalities from various minds, sometimes including myself, to talk about some of these ideas, some of these issues, and not with the idea of a one-off, one-year thing, but to build something in this congregation so that we become, amongst the many things that we're known for, to be a place that people can come and to talk and to have these kinds of conversations and to feel comfortably religious and to feel comfortably in the world in which we live, using and utilizing all of the things that we have come to understand about the world, especially through the scientific lens. So, again, this didn't happen through nothing. So I do want to take a second and really thank Steve and Celia for the hard work that you did and the visioning that you gave to us. Because as I said, as a result of this, we are all going to benefit. Not just me and Steve in the city for a few hours, but really all of us, because we have a great series of events that are already planned, and some that we are actually now, after having spent this day in the city, thinking about adjusting, changing, adding to. And as I said in my vision, this is something that will continue from now as long as I am a part of this temple. And who knows, maybe beyond. Maybe I'll be robot rabbi who will appear in the future, you know, even after I retire, you'll just plug me in somewhere. So to highlight a few of these upcoming events, July 28th, myself, Dr. Stephen Rosen, are going to discuss ancient and modern ideas of cosmology. If you don't know what cosmology is, I don't either, but I'm going to find out by July 28th. So you should definitely join us. Steve luckily knows a lot about it. August 18th, Dr. Arlene Auerbach, one of our beloved members, who is also an incredible, world-renowned clinical geneticist,
is going to discuss the ethical and religious implications of genetic testing. September 1st, I'm going to speak with our very own journalist, Professor Carl Grossman, who's going to discuss the intersection between environmentalism and environmental matters and Jewish values. Later on in the year, in December, Dr. Brad Tepper, one of our, as we know him, Benzi, who is an incredible psychiatrist, is going to take one of the Torah sections in which we're dealing with dreams, in particular the dreams of Jacob, and to talk about the modern art of dream interpretation. And also our anticipation is to bring in a neuroscientist to talk about the science behind dreaming and what it ultimately means to us. Eventually, we will get to a conversation with Leah Oppenheimer about child rearing in the Torah and the science behind child rearing as we have learned it. And eventually, next summer, we're going to welcome Dr. Rebecca Goldstein, who has written a remarkable book on Baruch Spinoza. If you don't know who Spinoza is, the very idea that Jews are talking about science openly and out in the world is largely because of Spinoza. It didn't go very well for him in his day and age, but he is a hero to me and to so many other Jewish people as a result of what he did. And just to give a sense of what it was we were doing in the city, we had the benefit of studying with, first and foremost, a NASA engineer and astrophysicist. His last name is Wiseman, not Jewish from Arkansas, I think, actually, if I remember correctly, from a farm, but one of the most amazing people I have ever heard speak. And she spoke, again, as a person who literally helped build the Hubble telescope, who was involved in the James Webb telescope as well, showing us pictures of the cosmos, and making a very clear and easy line between, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing that any of us have ever witnessed, and how can such a thing exist? Right? Here is somebody who is smarter than I could be if you give me 10,000 lifetimes, and even she can't exactly explain the beauty of what she was showing us on the screen, but she could explain how it made her feel. And here we were, again, listening to a person who otherwise should have had no religious connection, but finding ways to connect with a room full of religious people. Pretty remarkable. We learned about the historical context of Judaism and its acceptance of technology. In case you're wondering whether that's a recent thing, it is not. We love technology. It's a big part of who we are. When you talk about the people of the book, let us remember books were not something that everyone had access to until a certain point in history. And even then, you had to make a conscious decision that it was something that you wanted, that it was important to you, right? It doesn't happen without Gutenberg. It doesn't happen without a printing press, okay? All of us who are watching this wonderful service that we are enjoying, none of this happens without countless people spending their time trying to understand the fabric and the nature of the world. But again, not to prove or disprove, not to create primacy and secondary realities, but simply to engage in what we, certainly as Jews, have done since time immemorial, which is just to understand what are we doing here, and how can we do it better? How can we relate to each other better as human beings? How can we steward this planet that we love with greater care and greater understanding? How can we see the connections between human beings even when the outward appearances may be different? These are religious ideas, and these are scientific ideas. And they don't exist in opposition to each other. They hold each other up. As Rabbi Middleman said, right, we're not interested in producing heat around here. We're interested in producing light. And that's really what this whole program is going to be about. So I want you all to be as excited as I am about it. I'm going to have to do a little bit of selling to get you to that place, but I assure you, if you had been with me and Steve in this room, it would have been worth the risk potentially of COVID. It was that exciting. It was that engaging. And it got me that jazzed up for this program. So I hope that you will join us this summer as we begin this process throughout this year. And as I said, even when the grant money ends, this is not going to end for us. And if you have ideas, if you know scientists, if you have topics that have engaged you, come to us, come to Steve, come to myself, let us know what you're thinking, and let's work on this together. Because in the end, it is the greatest gift we can give to each other and to our community is to learn, to grow, and ultimately, as I said, to be a little bit better tomorrow than we are today. So with that, I wish you all a very sincere Shabbat Shalom. And we'll welcome Cantor Lauren back up, hopefully before we all blow away. I was going to say, you know, everybody always says Cantor Lauren, she just blows everybody away with her beautiful voice, and she took it too literal yet again. But, you know, thank you. Very nice. And again, you know, we have to just give some amount of applause to technology. I mean, this whole scenario is really, it's an amazing thing to me. It's an amazing, amazing thing. So we're going to turn now to page 586 at the bottom of the page. And we'll rise in body or spirit, Aleinu l'shabach. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 591. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Now invite those observing mourning or yard site to please remain standing. Those who are not, you may be seated at this time. We begin by remembering those in our community who have passed in recent months. Dr. John Abdrakin, Martin Blake, Faith Diskin, Linda Donath, Arlene Eber, Jay Fagan, Ellen Frank, Chaim Bear Greenwald, Arthur Grossman, Gerald Hirsch, Mark Joseph, Jane Beard Cass, Gertrude Katz, Deirdre Klein, Bertrand Buddy Kossoff, Helene Krotman, Emmanuel Kiprios, Leo Leibowitz, William Lippman, Audrey Lubo, Sandra Luongo, Nancy Nagel, Harry Olstein, Jeannie Rubin, David Senf, Anita Sheldon, Alan Silver, Larry Warter, Peter Weinstein, and Matthew Adam Zimmerman. We also marked the yard sites that occurred during the last week for Donald Abrams, Sophie Benziner, Frank Burke, Francis Berkowitz, Gladys Schneider-Coleman, Ruth Raff Cooper, George Davis, Harold Edelman, Stephen Garson, Francis Ginsberg, Irvin Goldenson, Morris Goodstadt, Mildred Gostin, Viola Grant, M.L. Hart, Springa Radinsky Heller, Joseph Kamenkow, Samuel Katz, Pauline Levy, Benjamin Levitman, Maxine Morris, Marion Mozart, Milton Neustadter, Bella Proper, Abe Rosenblatt, Hiram Rossick, Lillian Helmley Rubenstein, Stuart Sack, Susan Sackner, Lieb Scheinert, Max Schwartz, Irving Schatz, Ed Silverberg, Rita Sandra Snyder. Any additional names that you'd like to mention if we didn't mention them? And for those that are watching at home, you can add names as well. And I'll ask the mourners to join with me on page 598. יתקדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולימי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. זיכרונם לברכה, may every one of their memories be for a blessing.
Amen.
Please be seated, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay, I have a very important question to ask. I'm clearly not wearing a yarmulke. Did it fly away, or did I simply forget to put it on? Did anybody notice it fly away at any point? Okay, well, if anyone finds a yarmulke in the parking lot, it's very likely mine in that case. So, okay. Few other very important announcements. Please join us for Shabbat services tomorrow, 9:30 in the morning. If you're joining us here in person, you'll enter through the side of the building. Look for the sign that says Memorial Chapel. If you're watching us online, services again will start at 9:30 on Zoom, our website, YouTube, and Facebook channels. Also, a reminder that tomorrow, being the first Shabbat of the month, is our Shabbat Torah study using the Torah, a Women's Commentary. This month will be facilitated by our very own Dr. Fran Gottfried, who is a wonderful teacher of Torah and a very challenging Parsha. So if you can, join us tomorrow again on Zoom. Parshat Korach, not an easy topic, to say the least. Just a reminder again, Monday being the 4th of July, the office will be closed. None of my classes, none of any of our classes, although I don't know about the social justice group, whether it's have its meeting. I don't know if anybody's here that's in that group. Vivian, I don't think so. I don't think so. So in any case, please enjoy the 4th of July. We hope very much that you will. My class that normally meets on Monday will instead meet on Friday at 12 o'clock. And my regular Friday class will meet at 9:15 as well. Coming up, our 20s and 30-year-old bonfire beach party and Havdalah with light refreshments, I'm told. Saturday, July 9th, 7 o'clock. Contact Shelley or ask Cantor Lauren for more information because she's in charge. Anyone that is interested in advanced conversational Hebrew, and I think advanced is in quotation marks, that's a big term. So if you're more than a beginner Hebrew person and you'd like to study with one of the great Hebrew teachers I have ever come across in my entire life, you can join Shelley Lichtenstein, who will be teaching beginning July 11th, but please do contact her ahead of time. And if you're a little unsure, talk to Shelley before you decide not to. She is seriously, I come from a family of educators. I spent my entire life around schools and synagogues. I've never met a Hebrew teacher with her talent. Never. So if you're interested, this is the time to engage, and she will be happy to teach you. Just again, beginning July 11th. Reminder, on the 17th, we have a tour of the Halsey House and Gardens in Southampton. We also have a wonderful concert with Cantor Lauren and two of our amazing teens who are going to join her July 14th at 7 o'clock. Also a reminder that we are doing our Havdalah Harbor Cruise again, but like last year, we need to get to a certain number of people in order for it to be viable. That deadline, that cutoff is July 7th, so please, please, please come. It's great. I can attest to it. Lauren was there last year. It was tons of fun. You'll have a good time, even if you're not a seafaring person like myself. We made it back, okay? It was a really great time, so please join. And also a heads up, later in the month, I believe it's the second to last Shabbat, we are very honored to welcome Cantor Jill Abramson. And I was just going to say, I was waiting for Anne's reaction to that because she is a WRT person. Cantor Abramson was for many years the senior cantor of Westchester Reformed Temple and has been for the last year or 2 years the interim director of the Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music, which is the school that trains Cantor Lauren and so many other wonderful cantors. She's going to join us for a whole weekend, a whole Shabbat, I should say. A lot of great learning. She's an incredible voice, but also a great teacher of Torah. And she is this year's Women's Torah Scholar that we are bringing as part of our Women's Torah Commentary program. So it's a great opportunity to learn. She will be with us, as I said, through all of Shabbat. You'll get much more information on that coming up, but please do mark your calendars. Whew, okay, beyond that, Cantor, anything for you to add? Anything exciting going?
Cantor Jill Abramson is amazing.
Okay, see, there you go. So, we are slightly biased, but I like accepting this particular bias. So for us tonight, before we do Kiddush and Motzi, we're going to conclude, as we do usually around our major American holidays, with God Bless America, which in my mind is very needed at the moment because it is an aspirational document, right? When Irving Berlin wrote it, he knew even in his era that America was not necessarily as beautiful as we envision it in our minds. We have a lot of work to do, maybe more than we've ever had to do. But we don't stop reaching for that. And we don't forget, despite all the complications of the separation of church and state and all the things that we are concerned about, that in our tradition we like to realize and acknowledge the fact that the Jewish people in this country have done and experienced remarkable things. And God Bless America is a big statement to be made, but we can each take that message into ourselves, and also, as I said last Friday, to redouble our efforts to make our country the country we want it to be, the beautiful thing that's envisioned in the text itself. Before we get to that, though, just again, a couple logistical things. When we're finished, if you'd like to come over to Bob and Josie's table over here, we have grape juice, I don't think wine, grape juice, wait, we have wine. Grape juice and wine and challahs that you can take, enjoy yourselves. Just be very, very careful, as always, coming out of the parking lot. Make sure to turn around and look very carefully before you pull out of your spot. And a last word again, a thanks to Dr. Stephen Rosen, to Celia, and to all of the people who are going to be part of our presenting and are part of our community. A lot of really exciting stuff coming up this summer and throughout the rest of the year. So, God Bless America is on page
680. But also, please make sure to return your Sidurim back to our table over there as well. So,
such a good team.
680.
680.
We don't have Bonnie here to remind us.
Yes, I was going to say, Bonnie's very good.
From the mountains to the prairies to the
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. A very happy, meaningful 4th of July. We're going to do page 120 something.
123.
123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'horei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon inchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta ve'otanu kinashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim, everybody. And again, go get your colors. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And Shabbat Shalom to Elmo. He looks very happy. Very good. I agree with you. I mean, you're absolutely right.